Now that I love. Okay, welcome back, you beautiful people. Hope you're having a great day, and thanks very much for joining me. Now today we're looking at the Fender Mustang Micro Plus, the new portable headphone amp from Fender, replacing their old non-Plus model. So this is the Mustang Micro Plus. This has loads of new features and looks amazing. So what we're going to do, we're going to do a direct comparison between this and the BOSS Katana Go, which came out just a few months ago and has been really highly reviewed and regarded and sold out everywhere. So which one's better and why? Let's find out. Okay, so just before we start, I want to show you the packaging because I think this is a really nice touch. Now what they've done is they've actually listed every amp they have in the unit and every effect they currently have in the unit. And I thought it was a nice little idea because you can just have a quick browse rather than scrolling through menus and stuff, and you can just see everything that you need or might want in advance. And also this side, I thought this was clever as well. So they've actually put a little label with each button and what it does, with a line going to each button, so you can see exactly what all the buttons on the unit does before you even pull it out of the box. It's just a nice little touch. Well done, Fender. Okay, so when you first pull this unit out of the box, you realise just how tiny this thing is. This is crazy. So it's actually the same size as my thumb. It's just absolutely madness how it can be that small, and with the amount of stuff that's inside this little unit, this box. Okay, so it's actually smaller than the BOSS Katana Go. So if I fold that back up, I don't know if you can see there. It's close, but it's definitely smaller. It's narrower, it's shorter, and it's definitely thinner as well. Just slightly, but all these dimensions all soon add up to a big change to the overall package. Okay, so apart from size difference between the two, the other major difference between these is that the Fender has a lot more buttons down the side, and that allows you to actually change the configuration of the patch you're using at the time. I don't know if you can see that. So we have the tap tempo button, which also acts as the tuner if you long press. We have modify buttons, we have EQ buttons, and we have the patch buttons themselves. So this allows us to actually modify the parameters of the patch we currently have selected when we're using the Fender. The BOSS Katana Go can't do that. It can just change between presets that you've already made through the app, or just from the factory default ones. So yeah, the Fender's actually more versatile in that fact that you can actually change it directly from the unit using it in conjunction with its micro OLED screen. Right, so that's a good bonus on the Fender as well. I mean, remember these two are the same price. This has an OLED screen, this one doesn't. It's just a monochrome. And like I say, this can actually modify the patches on the unit. This can't. So that's one major win for the Fender. Okay, so just noticed how much lighter this feels in the hand. So I actually measured these on the kitchen scales, and the Fender is just 50 grams. 50 grams is crazy light. This is 65, the BOSS Katana Go. So okay, there's only 15 grams between them, but when you're talking about an over 20% reduction in weight, sitting on your jack all day, every day, or when you're practicing, you know, it's a lot of weight difference between the two in percentage terms. Okay, 15 grams is nothing, I know. Before you, okay, leave a comment, go on, I know you want to. Okay, so I'm going to switch this on so you can see I'll just move this out of the way, move the jack out of the way. Okay, so it's time to switch the unit on. So just slide the button here upwards one notch, the power button, and then the OLED will come to life. There we go. Now down the other side, here at the bottom here, we have the preset button. So we can cycle through the different presets. Have I gone to the wrong way? Oh no, I've got the wrong one, yeah. Okay, so yeah, there we go, look. So there's all the different presets within the unit, but you can also add your own. There's a lot of space in this for making your own. I'm going to show you that in the app. Okay, so just want to show you that. Now down the side here, we also have, like I said before, the EQ buttons. We have the modify buttons, and we have the tap tempo button. All right, now on top, we have the USB-C. All right, we have USB-C connector because we can use this as a door directly into your laptop. So you can actually record direct, so it'll be lossless. All right, which is handy via USB-C, or we can plug the headphones in if you're just practicing, you know. And then this side, we have the save button for when you're modifying those presets, and we have the power slider, which also has the Bluetooth option on the end there. So if you hold up the end, then the Bluetooth starts flashing, you can connect to your devices, so your iPad or your iPhone, Android devices, whatever, you know. All right, so we're going to get into the app, and we're going to have a little look at what this bad boy can do. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is slide the on-off switch up to the Bluetooth icon, and within the app, when it first opens, it'll be empty like this, and then all of a sudden, it'll just pop up, and then you click the connect button, And there we have the Fender app. Okay, so now we're controlling this unit, and you can see you have an amp in the middle there. Look, you have your delay or your reverb. That's your reverb. That one, the delay is in the middle there. Look, you can add a delay. So I'm just going to lob a delay in there for a sec, just to show you. Look, there's the delay. And if you wanted, say, a stomp box, so if you wanted, so this is the sort of clon equivalent. So you could stick that in there, and that's there. Look, on the far left, that's the clon. And then you can have something like a bit of chorus or modulation of some sort. So if you wanted your tremolo, there's just two options of tremolo: flanger, phaser, and your vibratone. I'll stick a bit of chorus in there for now. Okay, so when we press any of these icons, the most intuitive interface I've ever seen comes up. So you press the amp, for instance, and then you get the top of the amp displayed to you. Now you can either press, I'm going to do it on the gain knob, you can either put your finger on the gain knob and turn it up and down, like that, or you can tap it and then a slider comes up the side, so you can do it like that, which is genius. Or you can use the plus and minuses down the bottom, look, just to make it a little bit more accurate rather than sliding and trying to get it let go at the exact point you want. You can fine tune it with the plus and minus at the bottom there. So this is just genius. The way they've done this, it's the most obvious thing ever. So like I said, I actually prefer to turn the knob. So you can actually touch it, drag your finger away, and then, can you? Yeah, lift it up and down. So you can still see the percentage. All right. So that's how you use the amp. But there's also this amp settings button down the bottom right there next to replace. So when you press that, look, you have the bright switch available to you and a noise gate that you can change up or down more or less within the amp settings, which I think is also a genius idea. But if you press the replace button, what happens is you can then see all the different amps within the unit. Okay, so you have your tweeds, you know, your not black faces, your deluxe twin reverb Princeton and super reverb and so on. And then you got your BBs. Are they bass breakers or blues breakers? Bass breakers, that's it. I think, or blues, one or two. Excelsior, I never heard of that one. Don't know what that one is, but Supersonic was another classic amp. And then you got stuff like your Voxed equivalent. You got your Marshalls. So you got 70s and 80s sounds. And what I do like, I've just seen. Obviously, we've got the orange one if you want to do a bit of Oasis. The Friedman, that's a cracking amp, that is. Now, this one here is actually an EVH. So the Metal 2000 one is actually an EVH sort of replica, if you like. So that's quite a good one if you like your high gain stuff. All right. And so when you go into, so that was the amps. But if you actually go into, say, the stomp box, so we're going to the drive, okay. So when you press this, you can tap the button itself, the actual foot switch silver circle there, and it'll turn it on and off. Or you can just press the bypass button at the bottom as well. That works just as well. And again, you can slide these knobs up and down. Just put your finger on the knob, drag it up, or just tap the knob, and then the slider comes up the side here. All right. And again, what you can also do is down the bottom right, look, you can either remove it or replace it. So when you click replace, you get the list of all the alternatives up there. So you've even got a sustain pedal, look, which is, I've actually used that on the Fender Toadmaster Pro multi-effects unit, and that is superb, that sustain pedal. Compressor, everyone likes a compressor. The Octobot, I saw Leon Todd, I think it was, doing a demo with the Octobot, and it sounded amazing. So yeah, there's loads of different options, and obviously you can tweak every one to your. So you got your classic tube screamer there, look. All right, so you can make anything you want. You can. It's just amazing, really. And when you look at the BOSS Katana Go app, we'll do that in a second, and I'll show you just how much trickier it is to sort of navigate around that. Whereas this makes so much more sense, I think. So at the top left, you've got list view, and when you press that, you can see all the presets that are within the unit already when you first get it. All right. So let's go down and see how many we got. I think it was, oh, okay, we've got more than I thought. That's amazing. Whoa. So we've got 70 presets. 70 from factory. I think the BOSS Katana Go, what did that have? 30. So 30 in the BOSS Katana Go and 70. And we also have a further 30 user presets, but also remember you can actually tweak any of the original 70 as well. So realistically, if you really want, you can have 100 user presets, because you can just replace the factory ones with your settings and save them. So we'll go back to preset view. So we're pressing that button at the top left there, look. All right, so when we come back to the preset itself, At the top right there, you've got the settings button, the cog icon. We'll come to that in a moment, but we've also got the save button. So that would then override this preset with my tweaks to it that I've just done. You know, when I changed it to the EVH and I put the delay in there and the chorus, and those will now be saved, overriding that factory preset. If I press save, and it says, do you want to change the name, or what do you want to call it, and so on, and then you click save and it's done. Okay. Now the other button next to it, there's a little, look, you can, if you're, I'll sign in a moment. Okay, so now I'm signed in with my Fender Cloud account. What I can do, come on you. Okay, so when I click the share button now, you can actually upload your preset, and you can put all the details in these boxes, and then once you've done that, you then click upload and it'll send it to the cloud for everybody else to enjoy as well. So you can, if you make a patch that you think, oh, it's amazing, share it with the community. You know, so when you go back, and we go back to list view at the top left there, just underneath that blue icon on the left, there's that little cloud button. Look, and if we go in there, this is where you'll see shared patches from everybody else. So we have different tabs where you have popular ones, or you can filter by genre, or you can look at the most recently uploaded, and there's already loads coming in here. Or you can look at the factory presets again if you want to then re-download them. Say you tweaked them and you changed them all, and you thought, actually I liked that one, you can then go back in here in the factory presets and re-download it. All right, so this is actually a really good feature. I think this is something that's so much better done than the BOSS implemented. Okay, so let's go back. We'll go to the preset view, and I'm going to go down to an empty patch. All right, I'm going to show you how quick you can make a patch that suits you. Okay, so when you go into an empty one, it starts off with that, just like that. That's how it comes up when you open an empty one. All right, so first thing we do is swap the amp, and I'm going to put, so we're going to replace it, and I'm going to put, I don't know, let's go for the Friedman, because I do love a Friedman. Okay, so like I said before, if you go down the bottom right to amp settings, you've got all the switches that you have on the actual amp. You know, there's little toggle switches. So you have the fat switch and the saturation switch and so on. These on the Friedman make such a big difference. These really do change things. Some switches on some amps you can't really hear a difference, but these ones really do. And they're actually really, really good. So you can configure it exactly how you want. So it's worth playing with those in conjunction with these knobs on the front here. Now, you see the double dot at the bottom middle, just below the knobs. That double dot, the left-hand one is very white and the right-hand one is very grey. That means there's 2 pages. So if you put your fingers on the knobs and drag left, then the extra page comes up, and that's why it's now switched to the other side on the dots. So the master is there. In case you think it's hidden, where's the master? Well, it's just to the right there, look. Okay. So yeah, so you can change all these variables. I'm going to come back to that in a moment and tweak it all in a sec. Let's just quickly throw in the different things that I'd like on this. So I'm going to stick in a bit of a Klon wannabe. All right. And then I'm going to stick in some large hall reverb. I do like a bit of reverb. You can't go wrong with it. Covers up my mistakes. And then we'll go to, I think I might go for that one, but we'll have a look. Yeah, we'll do that one because it's got, I think that ping pong's left and right. I hope. I'm sure it does. Yeah, we'll go. And again, we've got that little two dot below the knobs. We've got those 2 dots showing it as 2 pages. Look, so if you just tap the 2 dots, or you drag your finger across the knobs, then it'll move to the extra page of options. Okay, so yeah, it does pan right and left. Look, there's pan options there. Okay. All right, so that's the delay, and then we've got one more slot left here, the chorus, flanger, phaser, so on. I'm actually not going to put one in. I'm just going to leave it like that for now. Now, one more thing that we haven't touched upon. So that's that, just a basic setup, really quick out of the box, without even messing about. So I'll quickly save that, and I'll just put a new name in. We'll call it demo just for now, and save. And there we go. All right, so that's now saved. So we could upload that to the cloud if we wanted. If we typed in demo, oh, can't spell. Here we go. And then put messing. I'll just put any old thing, like I'll just proof. Yeah, right. And then you get the post button at the top right. So if I now click that, it would now upload it to the cloud, and everybody else could download this patch without any hesitation. So it'll be available to all. All right, but I'm not going to upload it because obviously I haven't tweaked it or sorted it or nothing. So let's go back to this page here. We go to the settings button at the top, like the cog icon, the gear icon. All right, and in here you can go direct to your tuner, so you can get your tuner on screen. Now you've got USB gain level. Now, USB gain level. This is for when you actually plugged it into, say, your laptop, or you know, if you're using it as a DAW, and you can tweak the input gain so you're not overloading, or if you need more volume, because every bit of software has got a different sort of input level, if you like. Then you've got your account and your device itself. Delete account, we don't need that. Right, you've got global EQ, which is handy because this is actually really good, because depends on what you're using, but sometimes you might have a harsh guitar, and then you've got another guitar which is a bit muddy, for instance. So you can actually bright boost, bass boost, bright cut, or low cut, which is dead handy if you've got different guitars at different gigs, for not having to change every single preset per guitar. So you actually come in here. This is actually a really good idea, I think, is actually just come in here, depending on what guitar you've got, choose the right option, and then all the presets will be applied effectively to the different guitar. It's quite handy. And then you've got a backup button. This is good, because if you made loads of patches and you lose, I don't know, if you accidentally wiped your device, you'd be gutted. So the best thing you can do is actually back it up. And what it does is it backs it up, and you can then reload them back onto your unit if you ever got a new unit, or if you deleted your unit, you can restore it. So it's really helpful, that is. At the bottom there, you got the About button, and that tells you what firmware version you're on. Now, I read on the website that the actual updates come directly from this app for this unit, so it should tell you when something comes out in the future. Which, to be fair to Fender, with the Fender ToneMaster Pro, they've been really good with updates. They've been doing them regularly, and each time it's been a definite improvement as well. So I'm hoping to see the same good things from this app as well, for the software for this firmware, for this unit, just like they did with the ToneMaster Pro, because that's really moving forward, that thing. That's excellent. Okay, and then the help button takes you to a website. Okay, so we'll go back from there. So yeah, there you go. That's the app. So the app, like I say, is really, really intuitive. It just makes so much sense in every way. Okay. Right, now, one more thing, final thing. There's a modify control button down the bottom left. Look. What that can do is you can select what the button on the side of your unit will be assigned to change. So say you had, I don't know, well, let's change the vibratone and change that out for a different unit. We'll put the chorus in there. Chorus, there we go. So say the chorus was in your patch, and you wanted the ability to be able to change the amount of chorus whilst you're playing in between sections of songs, for instance. As you remember at the beginning there, we have a modify button on the side of this unit, so just next to the tap tempo button. So we can press the modify button. Now you can assign what you will change by clicking the modify control button at the bottom left of the screen. See where that big plus is down there, modify control. When you press that, you can select which block you want to assign that modify button to, and also which parameter when you press it. Okay, so you can then choose which parameter you change. So we'll change level. All right, so that's confirmed. So at the bottom, it now shows you that the chorus level will be the one that gets changed by the modify button, which is dead handy, because you don't have that on the BOSS Katana Go. So that's good as well. Okay, so let's start with the Fender Mustang Micro Plus, plugged in via USB-C straight into my MacBook using Logic, and at the same time I have in-ear monitors coming straight out of the headphone port. This is patch 1, and it's called Driven Deluxe. Let's have a little listen. Not bad, not bad. Quite like that. Very it's got a lot of clarity even within the distortion. Even though it's quite heavily distorted, it had a lot of clarity still retained. All right, let's go for the second one. So this is stadium lead, expecting some big sounds here. Let's see how we get on. So. Now that I love. That is a cracking lead sound. Absolutely superb. So that's patch 2 on the Fender. Completely factory set these. Completely standard as they are. All right, out of the box. That was excellent. Really impressed with that. So that was stadium lead. Let's move on to the third. This is called Swirling Echoes. I reckon this is going to be a nice clean sound. Nice and sort of... There we go. That's lovely. That swirling effect was outstanding. Really, really, really good. I probably sound like I'm biased at the minute, but I'm actually genuinely loving these patches. This is how factory patches should be, where they come out of the box and they're just brilliant, and they're usable. They're usable and lovely and high quality, not just thrown together by someone in the T-bar. I don't know. Right, so that's Swirling Echoes. Let's move on to the next one. Number 4, Metal 2000. So this is going to be a big heavy one, isn't it? Okay, let's get a bit down on the heavy stuff. Are you ready for a bit of shreddy? Here we go. Again, I'm not even into shredding stuff, but my God, does that sound good? This isn't even a shreddy guitar, but whoa. Yeah, I'm impressed with this. This is spot on, actually. Okay, so that was number 4. Let's go for the final one before we move on to the Boss Katana Go. So this is BB15 Solo. So I'm assuming it's going to be another sort of lead patch. You know, it'd be suffering along the lines of a Blues Breaker, Blues Breaker, or Bass Breaker. Might be Bass Breaker. I don't know. One of the two. Let me know down below because I keep forgetting. All right, so here we go. Let's have a listen. So. Another great one. So the first 5 are just brilliant. I'm assuming the other 65 will be like that as well. And then you got 30 spares. Get in. Back to the katana. Let's go over. No, not back to the katana. Let's go over to the katana and see what that's got. Okay, so now we've got the Boss Katana Go plugged in exactly the same way with the USB-C cable and the headphones for monitoring. And I'm going to record this on my MacBook Pro straight in. This is the first patch. It's called Brown Lead. Let's see how we get on. Okay, so the next patch, let's go to the next one. It's called Natural Drive. Patch number 2. A little bit of buzz there. Not bad. A little bit, I don't know. It felt a bit thin, a bit empty. Not bad though. I like the first one more. I think the first one was better. So this is a clean chorus. So let's see what nice little sounds we can get out of this one. Okay, so. That's quite nice as well. I like that. There's maybe a little hint of noise in the background though. Maybe. Let's see what the next patch is. Okay, Modern Brown. We've got this one and one more, and then we're going to move on to try and make an identical one between the two. Here we go. Okay, so that sounds really artificial to me. I don't know what it sounds like to you. Let me know in the comments down below if you like that sort of sound, but I think that's really synthetic. Okay, let's go for warm tone. This is the 5th and final one before we actually move on to my own patches. Not bad, not bad. That's all right, actually. I like a bit of warmth. Nothing wrong with a bit of warmth every now and then. Okay, so that's the first 5 patches out of the Boss Katana. Let's see what we can make if we make our own. Okay, so I think the last thing we should do is actually try making a patch for each of the two. Okay, so one for the Fender, one for the Boss, and try and make them as close as possible using their, in theory, not presets, but their in theory amps and their pedals and so on. So we'll do a clean with the same settings on delay, same settings on the amp, same settings on maybe some chorus and so on, and actually see how similar they actually sound like for like with a similar patch. So I'm going to go straight into the app here. All right, so we're going to connect to the Fender first, and we'll do the Fender first. So I'm going to go into there, and as you can see on screen, one of the existing presets. So I'll scroll down, and we'll go down to a new empty one. So we'll go to 72 empty, and then go back into the amp. Now I'm going to change that amp straight away because we don't want that. We want a clean sort of amp, so I'm going to go something, oh, I went to the wrong button, replace, there we go. So I'm going to scroll along until we get to one of the Fender clean. So I'm going to go something like a twin reverb. Okay, so twin reverb is pretty standard for clean stuff, so we're gonna have a little use that, have a little go with that one. Okay, so I'll tell you what, if we just stick everything in the middle at 50 odd percent, you know, you can't get much more like for like if you just set everything at 50. I'll tell you what, I'll tap it because then I can be dead on accurate. So make them all at 50%. It'd be interesting to see what happens with the volumes as well, how different they are in volume. Again, stick that at 50% as well. All right, so that's the amp. Okay, and we're going to stick some reverb on there. A little bit of reverb. We'll go for a small room. We'll go for no. Yeah. Spring reverb. Okay, spring reverb. There we go. Right. So that's default settings. I think just leave it at default settings. We'll just leave it default. See what it's like. and see how it compares. Let's get some chorus in there. Again, default settings, just lob it in, see what happens. All right, so that's just a plain simple chorus, everything at 50% on the amp, on a Fender Twin Reverb style amp, and then a spring reverb, just again in default settings. So I'm going to save that. What should we call that? Should we call that Mustang Demo? There we go. Clean. All right. Oh, I'll put Mustang Clean. There we go. That makes more sense. Okay, and then save that. There we go. So Mustang Clean. So next up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually do the same thing, but with a distortion concept. That's something that we might use as our sort of crunch, or even as lead. You know, let's start a new one. So move on to the next preset, and then let's have a little look at this and see what we've got as the options. Maybe something a bit heavier this time. Let's go for the Friedman. All right, let's go for the Friedman amp. So I'll confirm that. Again, I'm just going to put everything in 50%. And then that way we know when we use both amps on both systems that we're doing like for like, as close as we theoretically can do. Because obviously they've got different algorithms and different, I mean, what they might class as 100% might be, say, 90% on the Fender and so on. But this is a good sort of central starting point, isn't it? So we'll stick with that. So that's the Friedman. And then I'm going to stick some large reverb on this time, a bit of large hall reverb. Get a stomp in there, it's got to be the Tube Screamer. What else could it be? You know, it's sort of almost the default, isn't it? And then we'll lob a delay in as well. So we'll put a tape delay in, because it's quite common. I know there's a tape delay in the Boss as well, so it makes sense to do that. Okay, so there's a bit of a leady sort of sound, hopefully pretty standard. So we'll save that, and we'll call that Mustang Lead. There we go. And save that. There we go. So that's the Fender done. Let's move on to the Boss Katana Go and do exactly the same thing with their software. Okay, so I've got the Boss Katana Go on now, as you can see from the screen, and I'm going to press that. I'm going to go into it, and we're going to start a new patch and see if what we can get similarity-wise to the other Fender ones that we've just made. See how slow this is. This drives me nuts. Why is it that slow just to load it up? It's only got 30 patches compared to the Fender's 100, and it still takes all this time. Sometimes it fails as well. And I've got the latest update, latest firmware, latest app update, and it's still sluggish. I mean, what's going on here? Hello, boss. Oh my God, what was that all about? Right, boss, connect. It's really not hard. This ain't gonna connect now. Oh. Why does everything have to be so awkward? Okay, so I've just had a bit of a fight with the Katana Go because it didn't want to connect to the app, but I've got it sorted now. So let's get into this and see if we can actually make a similar setting to what we just made on the Fender, on those two presets, a nice clean and a nice lead sound. Okay, so we'll stick with the clean there. I'm not going to put a variation on because I don't really know what's going on, what that will equate to. But unfortunately, this Boss Katana, it just says acoustic, clean, lead, crunch and brown. It doesn't actually say what the amps are modelled on or anything. They're not really modelled on anything. It's sort of, it's just a random thing. You don't really know what it is. So I can only just go with the clean sound because it's clean we're trying to achieve. 50% on the gain, 50% on the volume, and then equalise. I'm going to have to 50 out all of these. This is so fiddly. God, I hate this. Right, there we go. Because that takes so long to get up sometimes, that little screen. There we go. And I'm going to change cab resonance to vintage because I think it's only fair when we're using a Fender Twin Reverb on the other one. So we've got a vintage one. I've 50'd everything on there. Now I need to look at the effects chain, see what we've got. I need to get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of... Right, reverb is one we definitely want because we had a small room, didn't we? So there's a room. And what I'm going to do, again, I'm just going to leave it as default. I'm not actually going to change anything. I'm just going to leave it as room reverb, okay? And then we're going to go into the mod and stick a chorus in here. So let's find the chorus. Default settings, I'm not going to change anything. Again, just like I didn't with the Fender, so we're keeping it like for like. So just default chorus, default reverb, and the everything at 50 on the amp. Okay, so I'm going to write that to number 1A, and we'll call that Boss Clean. We'll save that. There we go. Okay, so that was quite rapid because I'm actually quite familiar with these menus. However, once you start doing multiple pedals and trying to move things around in the chain and stuff, that's when this thing gets a real mess and becomes a nightmare to use. Okay, so that was the first one. Now I'm going to change to something a little bit more beefy because we want that lead sound now. So I'll just go straight to lead. But again, you don't have any options. It's just one lead and that's it. One clean and that's it. So you're quite limited with this thing. Okay, so that's all on 50 as well. We'll go to the effects. We're going to take the chorus off. We're going to change the reverb to Hall, because that's what we had on the other one. So we'll go to Hall, stock settings, we'll leave that alone. Go to delay, and we'll stick on a tape echo, like I said before, we did with the Fender. So we've now got the tape echo in there, stock settings, and then we'll go to the boost section. And we're going to stick a tube screamer equivalent in, because it's only right. Because that's what we did on the other one, and that's again stock settings. So in theory this is now like for like with the Fender second lead tone that we made, and now we're going to test them out. So quickly write this to 1B, and we'll call it Boss Lead. There we go. Okay, so that's writing to the unit itself, and there we have it. So that's now set up as well. So we've got both of these now set up, one each with a clean, each with a lead. Let's compare them and see how we get on. Okay, so I'm plugged into the Fender Mustang Micro Plus. We're going to do the clean sound that we just made first. Let's have a listen. Quite like that. Very, very nice. Nice and smooth. Okay, let's use a couple of strums just to give it a bit of chord. Well impressed with that. That's lovely. Absolutely lovely. So let's switch over to the Boss Katana Go clean, see how that sounds. Okay, so we've got the Boss Katana Go plugged in now. We're going to try out that clean sound, that clean preset that we made, just as default settings throughout, and see how that sounds. Let's have a listen. It's actually pretty good, to be fair. Rather thick and a bit maybe a tiny bit muddy, but then I suppose at the same time you expect a bit of Fender clean. You know, Fender clean would be a bit more twangy because they're in sort of natural style of, like with the Strats and the Tellys, and their amps are quite clean and quite not brittle but more defined. And so yeah, it's just different. Both good, but different. You know, different applications. I'm sure with the Fender one, if we put a different clean amp in there, we could probably get it to sound just like that, to be fair. But obviously we're just trying a standard sort of... I'll tell you what, let's do some chords actually quickly before I forget. Yeah, that is nice, to be fair. That is nice. Okay, so good one on the Boss Clean. Let's go over back to the Fender. Actually, no, I'll tell you what, we're to go straight into the distortion, shall we? For the Boss Katana this time. So I'll move over to the patch. Okay, so fair bit of noise, but I expect that as the guitar's on 0, but it's still got noise coming through. Oh, look at that. Hear that? Right, here we go anyway. Let's have a listen. it's got the beans in there, that's for sure. All right, so let's move over back to the Fender for the lead sound of that and see how that goes. And then we'll have a little think, have a little chat about what we've found. All right. Okay, so it's time to have a listen to this Fender lead sound that we use, just using blanket stock settings, see how it goes. I like that. Again, it's very different, but really good. They're both different, but both great at each of them, to be fair, with stock settings. But obviously, for both, I would actually choose to tweak them. I wouldn't leave them like that. But yeah, kind of go, you know, if you don't really know what you're doing, you still get good sounds out of the two. So there you have it. So great sounds all round. Okay, so I think it's fair to say I prefer the overall use of the Fender. Living with the Fender is better, but the sounds are great on both, and they're both very capable. But let me know what you think. Let me know in the comments, which would you buy and why? But I've got to say, I'm very happy with this Fender, and I think that this BOSS Katana is still a great product. But I would give the edge to this because of the sounds are still great, but because of that usability factor.